Welcome to game number 2 of this TvT series, ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the top left position of Nimbus. Perhaps a result that some people weren't expecting, but what a fantastic game. Can he follow it up with another, though, to make it into the lower bracket round of 4? Currently teamless, and this is a great advertisement for him if any teams want to pick up a player. It's Happy. His opponent spawning in the bottom left-hand position, not used to being 1-0 down in situations like this, I can tell you that for a fact, but he is one of the greatest Terran players on Earth, and there is a reason we're going to be seeing this guy at BlizzCon, at DreamHack Winter, and a whole bunch of other fantastic tournaments as well. But IEM San Jose may or may not be one of them. Let's find out if he can pull the series back to 1-1. It's Acer's MMA. Alright, well thanks very much, by the way, for all of you guys' comments in the chat. Hello. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure you go ahead and hit that follow button underneath that stream window as well, at twitch.tv/Jarasar, as well as at youtube.com/Jarasar if you're watching this later on as well. And also make sure you go ahead and let me know how things are going on Twitter. I do check the social media sites I'm on after every series. So any games you want to see next, anything in particular about these games you want to shout out, let me know, and I'll do my best to make sure they're included. In the meantime, Happy, once again, going to be going for that gas first before that barrack so he can be as aggressive as humanly possible. We have MMA this time going for the command center first, which is a little bit of a double-edged sword here. Because of the very aggressive opening coming out from Happy now, we'll be able to get immediately that factory and starport. Early game damage could do a lot of damage to MMA because he's delayed a lot of his army production units. On the other hand, if MMA holds off against that, then hey, he's home free and the economy for him is going to work great. So let's keep an eye for that because MMA's got to be a little bit wary right now. To a lesser extent, that's kind of what happened in game number 1. Happy's initial Banshee didn't really do very much damage at all. Let's be honest, it just didn't. But MMA's follow-up definitely wasn't conducive to him defeating Happy's army composition. Perhaps it was a simple misread from him there. And while MMA held off and got his second orbital command much sooner than Happy, Happy was still able to steamroller through those Hellions. So that's what cost him the first game. Obviously, I don't expect MMA to fall foul of the same thing again, and he is going to be able to scout where Happy is first time around this time. We'll see he's in the top left, gets away with the scouting SCV, and will not be able to see what Happy is doing. We've already got the starport on the way, by the way, and the second gas is going down, so early Banshee once again for Happy. He is completely unperturbed by the fact that it didn't do much damage in game 1, and in fact he's going to be pretty happy that they're in these spawn locations for game number 2, because we've got the in-base expansion that's conveniently expanding towards Happy here. So MMA is going to be playing that on his mind as well, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the first turrets at the natural rather than at the main base as he constructs his defense here. And we can see now a bunker going up by MMA to try and deter any initial early game harassment here. He sees that as well with the SCV, and the Marine will be able to kick him out too. MMA now going up to double gas himself. He's getting the factory. He wants to get that starport for that defense ASAP. Cloak has already begun for Happy here, and he's going to be getting that Banshee out pretty darn quickly. Somebody in the chat mentioning as well that Happy has about 900 wins on ladder this season. So, you know, for those of you wondering, well, hang on a second, MMA's a great player. How did Happy win a game? I've got a pretty good idea of how he won the game, and it's perseverance and just sheer effort on making sure his mechanics are fantastic. And that's what gave him, frankly, this reputation as an extremely solid Terran player. So right now we have the scan going down. He will spot that the Cloak Banshees are on the way. Even sees the first Banshee come out as well. And wouldn't be surprising to me if we immediately see a rush to defend that location. Are we going to see a Viking come out straight away? What is the gas situation like? Yes, it is going to be a Viking. And we have 4 Marines here as well. And here comes the Banshee into the natural expansion. No defense up here just yet. A couple of SCVs are guaranteed to go down here. And he's already matched his initial kill count from last game. 3, and he surpassed it as well. 5 Marines going up the ramp. The problem is, as soon as they go up the ramp, the Banshee can cloak and go at it again. 6 Marines now here, and he's moving out to see if he can try and take anything out towards the main base. A single lonesome SCV is going to start building a missile turret there. We actually have the one in the main base completing fresh, contrary to what I said earlier. All good. Happy switching it up, trying to pick off a few. He might be able to pick off 1 or 2 workers on gas, is my prediction here. MMA sees it coming and needs to be careful. Ooh, very, very nice micro there. Picking that up very quickly indeed. And will successfully pick off at least 1 more SCV and prevents gas from being mined over here. Now we've got a second Viking, so we're not going for a Raven. No tech lab down on this starport just yet for MMA. And back at home we can see the orbital command here being produced at the natural expansion for Happy, so he will be able to catch up on workers shortly. He's currently behind 32 to 28. The Banshee coming in for round 2, trying to pick off another couple of workers on gas here. You can see all of the damaged workers are actually around the missile turret for MMA, so making sure he has fresh SCVs there. And here we go, harassment phase 2. The Viking will get to see it, managing to pick off 1 more SCV here. Are we going to see a scan come down from MMA? Well, actually, no, we don't need to, because the energy on this Banshee has just run out. So, yes, he can run, but he certainly can't hide anymore. And it looks like, yes, the Banshee is going to go down. Nice micro there on the Viking, by the way, because it temporarily stops when it fires. So you want to be constantly microing that out. This Banshee is going to escape with a very minimal amount of hit points, and 7 workers have been killed. That brings the worker count 36 to 31 in MMA's favor. Let us not forget, we've got no counter cloak going down this game, by the way, for MMA. Instead, we're going to be seeing, well, mech once again from him. So he is not convinced that the last game was representative of what should be happening in this matchup, despite losing more workers to that Banshee this time around. And he's making a lot more Hellions. He's going for a similar style once again. So let's see if this ends up working for him. We've got the reactor on the barracks now, and we have 2 barracks at the moment on Tech Lab, so he's going to be able to produce a decent number of Marauders to counter this kind of style. We also have the first medevacs on the way now for Happy as well. Good saturation at both of his bases, and wouldn't be surprised to go reasonable on the upgrades at the moment. He's actually taking his gases right now, but he's already got 300 of that in the bank, so he's going to want to... is he going for siege tanks this time, though? We don't actually see a tech lab on that factory just yet. It looks like he's going full bio for now. There's the reactor, actually, going down on the factory, so presumably making that for another barracks, and we have the 3rd base coming out now for Happy as well. So a faster 3rd base here than MMA. Now, a lot going on in the upgrade department for Happy. He's got Stim already done, but he's got +1 and Combat Shield and +1 Armor and Concussive Shell all in production at the moment, so there can be no doubt as to what he's going for. We see some more tanks from MMA this time around. He's like, well, maybe Hellions alone aren't going to cut it, and they certainly aren't this game. No pesky Raven to worry about, though. Not just yet, anyway, coming out of Happy, which basically was the MVP of that last game. Who are we kidding? Things look pretty chill so far, it has to be said. We've got more and more Hellions coming out from MMA. I'm really excited to see what he's going to be doing differently to try and turn that around this game. And we have the Armory now coming out for him as well, so we could be seeing a mass Hellbat transition potentially. That scan, by the way, from Happy sees everything he needs to see. There are tanks, there are Hellions. Okay, I know what I have to do right now. So he's making, presumably, will be making a lot more Marauders in the near future. Because Marines, while they have great DPS, they also need to be able to tank. That's why he's got 3 tech labs on these barracks right now. That is no coincidence. And, well, more and more reactors coming down. Not really sure what this reactor on the factory is for. But maybe that's for future use. And here we go, a triple drop coming into the natural expansion here, picking off the missile turret, crucially, which means there's a strong possibility that Banshees could end up harassing here again, actually picking apart a couple of supply keepers as well, and forcing MMA to move back with his mech. This is a great bit of play here from Happy, and definitely giving him an edge in this game. MMA is heavily supply blocked right now, 114 out of 102. Here comes the mech army coming back. We have the SCVs repairing the orbital command. He will be able to land that again. It looks like the entirety of the drop's going to get cleaned up. Too many Vikings here to make a big difference, but that was a decent attack coming out of there. We have 10 workers killed so far from Happy at the moment, and suicidal barracks driver is suicidal, I guess. I mean, there are more important things to worry about, I suppose, when your base is under attack. And he's trying to use this barracks for vision, really, so that his army can actually get in position here. Let's see if that's going to end up being useful. Two bunkers, rather, being produced here from Happy. And MMA is actually saying, you know what, I'd rather these not go up. And who can blame him for saying that? A lot of Hellions, though, right now. and Happy needs to be very, very careful. There are no siege tanks this game. We were talking about no siege tanks earlier. There was a reactor on that factory. Is he going to be paying for it with his life here? SCV's being pulled, but oh my god, 4 siege tanks, no tanks for Happy, and no Raven to take these tanks out, and to be honest, there are 4 of them anyway, you're not going to be able to, and MMA is steamrolling through this army. These small differences between Game 1 and Game 2 are exactly the small differences that MMA needed to turn this around right now. He looks up, he goes, hang on a second, there aren't any tanks there, I can just slowly siege push this forward, and he's going to try and camp out the production structures as best he can. He only has a handful of Hellions left, but he can definitely leapfrog these tanks into the natural expansion right now, and Happy is in trouble. He's down to 74 supply versus 107, plus 2 is about to complete on this infantry, but there's just so much DPS from this mech army now that all of these siege tanks are comfortably in siege mode at the bottom of the ramp. So he might be able to stim forward and try and pick this off, but I don't think there's enough sustain, there's not enough hit points here. Especially not with the medevacs being taken out by the Vikings. I think Happy's on his last legs, and we're going to be seeing a game number 3 here in this best of 3 series. Happy's getting plus building armor for what that's going to be worth right now, but I really don't think that's going to help him, unfortunately. This attack is pressing forward way too quickly. All of the production structures are basically being camped out. Happy needs to try and break out of this, but even when he does break out of it, MMA is currently 40 supply ahead, guys. The worker count's surprisingly even. Happy's actually ahead, 44 to 42, but the third base isn't mining. MMA is just constantly streaming more and more units across the map, and here we go, there's the stim forward, but it's 82 army supply to 41 right now. The Bio desperately trying to break through the first ranks, but look at how much damage the tanks are doing. Great concave from Happy. It's not going to be enough. GG is called, and MMA wins game number 2. Happy, ladies and gentlemen, will have the series tied up on him, and that means that the person who progresses from the lower bracket is going to be taken to a third and deciding game.